Agbo Ato, blessing of long life. Ikabo, welcome. Adupoi, Ori Egun, we thank the ancestors for their wisdom. We're taking the next look at our study of Oriki Ela and really the correlation between the Oriki or the invocation for the spirit of Ela, meaning the spirit of light, to principles of quantum physics and cosmology and the very nature of reality. So we know that Ifa spiritual discipline is based on Iwa Pele, the development of what could be called good character, but what Iwa Pele specifically means I come to greet the earth. So it's a reference to the idea of learning the discipline of how to live in harmony with the earth. Living in harmony with the earth includes living in harmony with other people. So I would call it a nature reverence spiritual tradition in which everything we identify as spirit or Orisha is associated with a force in nature. So the process of learning the theological foundation of our faith is the process, certainly for English speaking people, of correlating those spirits, usually described in the Yoruba language, with Western ideas related to nature, science, evolution, cosmology, and the unfolding of creation. So we'll continue where we left off. Kotina Kotoro, he is of no substance, he is too small to be thought of. So that's really a reference to the idea of the link between the Ori and the Iponri. Everything in creation, everything from atomic particles to planets to stars to solar systems to galaxies, has its own individualized form of consciousness, but that consciousness is linked to all consciousness in creation through invisible strings. In string theory, in quantum physics, is the basis for quantum entanglement, meaning everything's interrelated, interconnected. In Yoruba, the word for string theory is irumile, from the Elegian rune, imo, ile, meaning beard of the house of light. So the reference to beard is a reference to the invisible cord, really, that links all forms of consciousness. So there's, uncountable quadrillions of Oris throughout creation, but there's only one Ipanri and everything's connected to it. So to say he is of no substance, he is too small to be thought of, really we're talking about the fact that the glue that holds creation together is invisible, certainly to the human eye. And and this is very consistent again with quantum physics. He is of no substance, meaning the essence of the cord that binds things among the Arumile is frequency, not substance. In other words, it's not a solid, tangible thing that we can touch and lift up and weigh and defined by way of dimensions or weight. It's a frequency that permeates all of creation. All right. So, Ela moyen buru, ela moyen boye, ela moyen boshisheo, the spirit of light lifts its burden from the earth and raises it to heaven. So this is a variation of the common greeting to an elder. Aburu, aboye, aboshishe, but here we're saying buru, meaning spirit of light to accept my burden. Ela moyen boye, spirit of light, I beg you to lift it from the earth. Ela moyen boshishe, I transform them. So then we go on to, so this fairly self-explanatory prayer requesting the spirit of light to transmute our problems. So, the word ebo, which is a part of aburu aboye, so ebo oru ebo oye ebo ashishe. That's ebo is translated in lots of different ways. It's frequently translated to mean sacrifice, which I believe is a Christian overlay on the Yoruba language. It does not reflect the real meaning of the word ebo. Bo means to protect. So every time we elevate our consciousness, we protect our consciousness. That's a principle of Ifa spiritual discipline. So to say we're protecting our consciousness is to say we're elevating our consciousness. And I would argue that the elevation of consciousness is part of what is called in the Western world alchemy. Alchemy, a word originally developed in ancient Egypt from the word alchemet, meaning the black soil of the Nile, where you find iridium, which is used as the basis for the chemical processes used in alchemy. So to me, there's a correlation between all those things here. If you look at the Oyibo, Gabriel Oyibo, who has a theory of unified field theory, which correlates the regulate subatomic structure with the principles that regulate astrophysics. That's been a big problem in Western science for certainly since Einstein and probably before, in which as quantum physics began to develop, Western scientists were horrified to see that the principles that regulated atomic structure were different than the mechanistic Newtonian principles that guided what we could call visible or mechanical physics. And, they've been struggling with that issue to this day. But it's clear to me that ancient Ifa paleoscience deals with this issue by simply saying that everything in creation has consciousness. And that's not just a method of dealing with a anomaly. I really think it's a description of the fundamental. So Dr. Oyibo took that principle and correlated it to the idea that creation originated with a hydrogen atom, a single neutron, a single photon, and that the entire elemental table is an alchemical transformation of that single source of physical structure. And his theory, which I believe is spot on, doesn't get a lot of play in the Western world because he made the mistake of admitting publicly that the idea was given to him by his Ifa elders in Nigeria. And in spite of the fact that he sent it to every major mathematical university in the world, really, for peer review, and nobody able to challenge his science, it still has gone largely ignored in Western academia. But it's further proof that ancient Ifa Odu, or oral scripture, contains a deep description of the way the world is created and put together, and how we can transform the world through the process of co-creation. Ele poke any esi sowara soro odun ko wowa sodun. The spirit of light has appeared. The friend has returned to this year's festival. The celebration returns. So this is a reference to the ritual process of celebrating the Yoruba New Year in June, usually around June 20th, 21st, the summer solstice. And during that festival, two things happen every year. One is a complete recitation of Odu Ifa, the oral scripture of our spiritual discipline, of our faith. That recitation typically takes 4 or 5 days. It's usually done by children. It's usually done in public from sun up to sundown. It's really an impressive display of memory and the retention of ancient wisdom. Folks that say that aspects of our faith have been lost in Africa simply have never witnessed that phenomena of children reciting the entire corpus of our scripture, which includes all our mysteries, all our descriptions of initiations, all our descriptions of spirits, all our descriptions of spirits related to nature, all our taboos, all our medicine, all our social protocols, all our social structures, all our perceptions of the past, the present, and future. It's really a complete text, which is completely preserved. So it's not true to say anything's been lost, in my opinion. All right. So in addition to reciting the at the New Year's festival, there is definitely a designated medium who goes in law, who then speaks as an oracle or a prophecy for describing things to look for in terms of challenges in the upcoming year. The spoken word of Ela, which is, generally not considered a thing in the diaspora, is actually at the foundation of our faith. That prophecy each year gives us guidance on how to move forward in what Odu Ifa describes as co-creation. By co-creation in Yoruba, that's Ile Ife Orunwa Ile Ife Aye, meaning the house of unconditional love in the heaven comes to earth. So the whole purpose of creation and existence and human life and destiny is to create an ideal universe that was originally conceived in the mind of Olarum, and then to make that manifest in the physical dimension. So Ifa teaches that we bring invisible realm, let's call it heaven for now. The process of bringing heaven to earth is the point of Ifa spiritual discipline. And so that process is rooted in the role modeling good character. It's also rooted in what I would call unprovoked acts of kindness and the willingness to be unconditional loving no matter what. We have certain rules that assist in that process. The most telling, I think, is the taboo against making judgments. All right. So Iroko ko, Iroko ko, Iroko ko. So in an Oriki, anytime you repeat a word 3 times, it's like the Ofoshe or power word. It's part of the stimulus for invoking possession by Ela. So we sing that with a little bit of enthusiasm. So it's Iroko ko, Iroko ko, Iroko ko. So anytime a sentence or a phrase or a word, Iroko from the Elysian oro ko, meaning the descent of our understanding of spirit. So Iroko is also a tree that's considered an ancestral tree, or are linked to the source of creation, sometimes associated with Ayanmo. I would say Ayan is a particular tree used to make bata drums. So Ayanmo, my Ayan, my tree, my ancestral link, my heritage, my Iroko, my connection to all things. Iroko, even though it's a real tree, it's actually a symbol of the tree of life. It's a symbol of the interrelatedness of all things. It's a really profound and fundamental symbol of the nature of reality and creation. So I think with that idea, we'll call that a day. Everybody stay safe. Know you're loved and appreciated. We're going to use the wisdom of Ifa, the wisdom of Ela, the wisdom of the ancestors, to create a better way to get through the day. A way in which we can access the free energy that was given to us by Creator to put an end to all the conflict and nonsense that is tearing the planet apart these days, and to really move forward as a single community rooted in the single ancestral mother who first appeared on the planet in what we now call East Africa. Ire Asheto.